Have you ever made a decision to break up with a destructive narcissist or cut ties with an otherwise emotionally manipulative or abusive individual in favor of taking care of yourself, only to discover that breaking free permanently from the dysfunctional dynamic is a whole lot easier said than done? Well, in this video, you're going to learn exactly what you need to do to get that narcissist to leave you alone forever. So be sure to stick around till the end of the video because you're going to learn a lot in this one. And I know that's a lofty claim, but the truth is the tips I'm going to share with you in this video today will completely transform your life if you actually apply them. So with that, let's get started. Hey friends, Tamie M, Joyce here, Empowerment Life Coach, and today I want to talk to you about exactly what you need to do to get that narcissist to leave you alone once and for all and forever and for good. But before we start with this video, I want to quickly announce that a few spots have opened up for the one-to-one consult with me for the Freedom Class program to see if we're a good fit for working together. So if that's of interest to you, be sure to click the link in the description below to apply to see if you qualify for a free call with me. For the best advice on how to heal and recover from codependency and narcissistic abuse, subscribe to my channel and hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos throughout the week. So let's talk about what you need to do to get a narcissist to finally leave you alone forever. But first, why do we even want a narcissist to leave us alone? Let's talk about that. Let's be honest with ourselves. Does any good ever come from continuing to engage with someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism? Someone who's lacking in empathy, lacking in conscience, tends to be dishonest, tends to be very deceptive, highly manipulative, brings all kinds of chaos and drama and more chaos and more drama and often pain and destruction into our lives. Why on earth would we want someone like that to leave us alone, right? But the truth is, we often, those of us who tend to be highly empathic, untreated adult children of pain, trauma, dysfunction, abuse, neglect, those of us who are highly empathic and have those unresolved issues that we're still carrying around with ourselves everywhere we go, tend to really be drawn to this type of individual for a whole bunch of reasons, which we're going to talk about some of that a little later in the video. But the reality is, even though logically many of us know we need this individual to go away and leave us alone, we will often participate in the perpetuating of the abusive cycle by continuing to engage with the individual. When I think back on my history with destructive narcissists, in particular in my romantic life, but also in other areas of my life, how many times did I actually pick up the phone and engage just to say, please don't call me anymore? Please don't call me again, but I need to pick up the phone to engage to say that, right? And before I know it, I'm getting fully sucked back into the dysfunctional, toxic dynamic, right? We can make up all kinds of excuses and reasons, and some of them are legitimate and often not so legitimate as to why we should continue to engage, right? Like we need closure and we just need to have the last word and we need to, clarify this and set the record straight and all the reasons why we continue to engage. But if we're really honest with ourselves, there's more going on underneath the surface in terms of this addictive process that takes place in these relationship dynamics that draw us right back in time and time and time again. Hopefully, ultimately, you get to a place where you're so sick and tired of being sick and tired. You're so sick and tired of the pain, the drama, the chaos, and all that goes along with relating and engaging with this type of individual that you're done. And you'll know when you're done, because it's time to stop engaging. It's time to stop picking up the phone, replying to the texts, reading the emails, checking them out on social media, checking up on them, driving by their homes, doing all the things that we do that keep us in the freaking game with these people, right? So hopefully if you're tuning into this video, that time has come for you. And I'm going to give you some really powerful tips today to help you get that narcissist to leave you alone forever. Tip number 1, accept and surrender to the reality of the situation. Really, this is the very first thing you need to do. Listen, in my own life, I've been there. I know how hard it is. We stay in the game with these people, whether it's narcissists in our family of origin, friends, romantic partners, spouses, even our bosses and colleagues and people at work. Sometimes we will stay in the game with these people for years, hoping, praying that finally, just finally, we will be heard, understood, accepted, validated, and loved and supported in the ways in which we need to be validated, loved, and supported. Unfortunately, we stay in this game in spite of evidence to the contrary, in spite of years and years of experience that tells us this is never going to change. This individual is never going to change. So the very first thing we need to do to break free from a narcissist forever is to accept and surrender to the reality of the situation. So this requires that we become willing to step out of denial, that we become willing to drop the delusion and the magical thinking, and that we become willing to tell ourselves the dirt, honest truth about what it is that we are living, what it is that we are seeing, what it is that we are feeling, what it is that we are experiencing time and time and time again. Accept and surrender to the reality of the situation, step out of denial, drop the delusion, get freaking honest with yourself, tell yourself the truth. Easier said than done, I know, but it is vital, vital, vital first step. Tip number 2, commit to no contact. Again, easier said than done, right? The truth is, we are, more often than not, fully addicted to these people. As painful as it is, as destructive as it is, we are actually fully addicted to these people. The chaos, the drama, the pain, all the stuff that they stir up inside of us, right? So when we're angry and in a rage, it's very easy to draw a line in the sand and say, I'm done. But maintaining no contact is a whole other story, because what ends up happening is we go through the biochemical withdrawal of love addiction, that whole process. And that is a big piece of the reason why we keep returning over and over and over again to these people. So we have to commit fully to going no contact, doing whatever it takes to support ourselves and get ourselves over the withdrawal that we are inevitably going to go through when we go through no contact, and actually deal with all of the discomfort inside of ourselves. That is loneliness, that is everything, that is the abandonment issues that are triggered, that is all of the pain of being left or having to surrender to the reality and leaving. That is a whole bunch of stuff that we actually have to deal with inside of us. But every time we return, we just start at ground zero, and sometimes even lower, right? Like our self-esteem takes a hit, the whole cycle starts all over again. It's no different than a heroin addict working to break free from the addiction of heroin, getting 30 days, 60 days, 90 days clean, and then going right back to the heroin, right? They're starting all over again. Same thing happens with people who are addicted to alcohol. This is very much an addictive process. So we have to be willing to commit to no contact, and then being willing, again, to support ourselves, to ride that wave of withdrawal and do all the things that we can do for ourselves in order to get ourselves to that place where we are actually on the other side of that. I'm going to tell you, the truth is we have to be on a healing and recovery path to really have a fair shot of getting to the other side of that withdrawal. I say that based on my own personal experience as well as my professional experience working with clients in this area day in and day out. Without the right recovery program, whatever that is for you, there's lots of options available. Without the right support system, which is going to be a big part of the right recovery program, it's very hard to white knuckle it to the other side, especially if we're surrounded by people who don't get it, who don't understand these issues, who think it takes two to tango, who actually believes the nonsense coming from the narcissist who is smearing you, people who tend to gaslight us and, really don't understand the reality of these issues. If that's your circle, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to get to the other side of the withdrawal and the pain, right? So really having the right program in place, which includes the right support system, is going to be your best bet to actually being able to maintain that commitment to no contact, to get yourself to the other side so that you can start really healing and recovering so you don't continue to repeat these patterns over and over again in your life. Now, some of you are going to say, yeah, but Tamie, I have children with this guy or this girl, right? Some of you are going to say, it's impossible for me. I am co-parenting with this individual. Therefore, I am forever connected, or at least for the next 15 to 20 years, right? And the reality is, even if you are co-parenting with an individual, you can still maintain no contact to a large degree. You can still keep your communication strictly to the business of dealing with the children. You can still choose to have someone who you trust to be the buffer reading, the long ass emails that come at you where, it's paragraph after paragraph after paragraph, but the one thing you need to know or the one question you need to answer is down here on page 3 in paragraph 5, right? You can actually have someone go through all of that for you and just deliver the information that you actually need to deal with in terms of the business of co-parenting, the business of raising these children with this individual. There's a lot of things you can do if you're committed to buffer yourself from the insanity, the nonsense, all that goes along with that. So again, if you're fully committed in any situation, you can work to put distance there and buffer. A lot of it has to do with putting our egos aside, choosing not to engage, which is very much, if we're honest with ourselves, choosing not to pick up the drug, right? Choosing not to engage, choosing to ride the wave of discomfort and not letting our egos suck us into the game of winning the right fight, having the last word. What are they up to now? Staying in the toxic dynamic. Fundamentally, it boils down to loving yourself enough to be willing to commit to and maintain no contact. It's vital. It's vital. These issues left untreated get worse, not better over time. That is the truth. Any addictive process that we are talking about, left untreated, these issues get worse, not better over time. I didn't make that up. I actually learned that in 12-step recovery many, many, many years ago. And the prospect of that scared the bejesus out of me based on what I had been living, in particular in my romantic life, but also with regards to my family of origin and other areas of my life. That scared the shit out of me when I heard that. Meaning, if I don't do anything to heal and recover and extricate myself from these, dynamics, these toxic relationships, it's going to get worse. The likelihood there's going to be any improvement here is so slim to none. We might as well say none, as I've said before. It's the truth. So, I come back to tip number 1, accept and surrender to the reality of the situation. Tip number 2, commit to no contact, whatever it takes. Tip number 3, taking your power back. This truly is a decision. And for some of you, you have been so beaten down for so long, you can't even fathom, how can I begin to take my power back? Well, I have to tell you that this is a decision that you can make one moment at a time, deciding that you are no longer willing to sell your soul to the devil being this destructive relationship. You are no longer willing to allow your life force energy, your vital life force energy, to be siphoned out of you in these toxic dynamics. Making a decision that you are going to take your power back, whatever it takes. I am not going to engage. I am not going to respond. I am not going to play, even though it hurts like hell right now, even though I feel like I'm jonesing and I'm coming out of my skin, which is the truth of what we live sometimes as a result of trying to break free from these dynamics, as painful as they are, right? And there's a lot of reasons for that, right? But the truth is, we go through this horrible discomfort making the decision, not today. I am going to own my power. I am not giving my power away. It really is a moment by moment choice. And from that choice, from that decision of I am taking my power back from this destructive, dysfunctional relationship dynamic, I am going to do whatever it takes to take care of me. Tip number 4, committing to a healing and recovery journey. The truth is, if we don't make our own healing and recovery a priority, if we don't learn and decide to put ourselves first, learn to put ourselves first in our own lives, and decide to put ourselves first in our own lives, with the exception, of course, those of you who are moms, your children are always going to come first. But other than that, we're often putting these really destructive people first in our lives, and we're getting crumbs. We're getting nothing in return, right? No. It's time to turn all of that around. We come first. We have to learn to love ourselves more in order to really be able to live our best lives as our best selves, in order to really be able to fulfill the purpose that each and every one of us has come to the planet to fulfill. We all have a reason for being here, right? In order to be able to even have a shot at living your best life as your best self, in order to have a shot of being able to finally break free from the destructive narcissist and these patterns once and for all, for good and forever, the truth is, we have to have a healing and recovery program in place, whatever that is for you. Trying to do this, navigate this on your own without a healthy support system in place is going to be near impossible. So commit to a healing and recovery program, whatever that is for you. Tip number 5, cutting all mutual ties. And I mean all mutual ties. Again, easier said than done for sure. But if you want this destructive narcissist to leave you alone once and for all, for good and forever, maintaining friendships that are mutual, probably not a good idea. Staying friends with their sister or their mother, because you had such a great relationship and bond with them, probably not a good idea. It's akin to, the newly recovering alcoholic deciding it's a good idea to hang out in a bar. Not a good idea. You really want to cut ties. And again, I get it. When you're co-parenting with these people, it gets tricky. But oftentimes we're, staying friends with and running in the same circles and going to the same places as these, these people, and forever exposing ourselves to them, wondering why we can't get them to leave us alone, wondering why we can't break free permanently. Love yourself enough to be willing to walk away completely and entirely. You know perfectly well when we are talking about a destructive narcissist and you're attempting to break free for real, they are smearing you. They are manipulating the perception of others. When a toxic person can no longer control you, they have to, by virtue of their own insecurities and all the other stuff that goes along with it, they have to attempt to manipulate and control the perception of others in relation to you, right? So you know full well that that is what is going on. You can be in there getting sucked right in, defending yourself and, dancing like a marionette to all of this, or you can make a decision to take care of yourself, to love yourself and extricate yourself from these circles entirely. And I've had folks say to me, well, it's not fair. It's not fair. They were my friends too. I go to that gym too. I hang out in this environment also. There is nothing fair about narcissistic abuse. That is what's true. There is nothing fair about the situation that you find yourself in. This has nothing to do with fair and everything to do with what does it take for you to break free from this dynamic and get this individual to leave you alone for good. Breaking all ties, all contacts, removing yourself, forget defending yourself against the smear campaign. You know what's true. You know what's happened. You know the truth of your experience. Let that be enough. Let that be enough. Folks who want to buy into the bullshit and believe the lies, if they aren't willing to give you the benefit of the doubt and at the very least the benefit of a conversation to hear your side of the story, and they're in there just believing all the nonsense that, let them. Learn to love yourself enough to stand on the truth of your own experience. You know what you live. You know what's true. Let that be good enough for you, and take care of yourself by removing yourself. Cut those ties. And whether or not that is fair is absolutely irrelevant. What is relevant is what is in your best interest. So, we really need to learn, again, to put ourselves first. In order to get a destructive narcissist to leave us alone forever, we've got to stop playing the game. It starts with making decisions to take care of ourselves, making decisions to love ourselves, one choice, one moment, one day at a time, making decisions in favor of our best interest, our well-being, our peace of mind, our peace of heart. All of that is supported by these steps. Now, take it a step further and give them nothing across the board. Nothing, zero, nada. You get a text, you get a phone call, you get an email, they're driving by your place of work, they're talking to your mutual friends, they're talking to your neighbors, they're planting seeds in your kids, whatever it is. They're looking for a reaction. They're looking for a response. The fastest way to get rid of a destructive narcissist, give them nothing. Zero, nada, nothing. They are looking to siphon your life force energy out of you by way of any means necessary. Any reaction, any attention is better than no attention at all. You can choose not to play. Give them nothing. Sooner or later, they're going to realize it's not working with you anymore. You're no longer a willing participant. You're no longer a good source of narcissistic supply. You're no longer feeding their sick, twisted little egos. You're no longer a good target for their, look, we're talking about insecure, shame-based bullies at their core. That's what these people are, right? So they need a target that they can get a reaction out of. They need a target that's willing to play and participate. Extricate yourself, give them nothing, give them nada. Take your power back. Focus all of your time, energy, and attention on loving you. Even if right now it's like, I don't really know how to do that. You can learn one moment, one decision, one choice, one day at a time. Truly. Take your power back. Love you. Learn to love you one day at a time. Learn to do the things that you need to do to take care of you And you will no longer be a magnet. You will no longer be, a good energetic vibrational match to this type of individual. They need someone who's willing to play. They need someone who is willing to, hand it all over, be manipulated, etc. You're not answering the phone. You're letting them have the last word. You're ignoring, the daggers coming your way. You're not responding to the emails. Let them say whatever they need to say in terms of a smear campaign. You could care less. You know your truth. You own your truth. You're doing whatever you need to do to heal your own issues, to deal with your own codependency issues, to heal and deal with your own unresolved adult trauma. You're up-leveling you from the inside out. You're busy. You've got no time for that stuff. They absolutely have to disappear into the ether and go find someone else to play with. It's not necessarily going to happen in a day or a week. And here's what's true. They will cycle back around. I've had destructive narcissists come back a week later, a month later, 6 months later, 2 years later. I even had one reach out to me 3 years later, telephone call, but one actually reached out to me via email one time, after 10 years. 10 years later, and he thought he could compose this email that was, unbeknownst to him, I was well into my recovery at this point, but he thought he could compose this email that was without question the most sickeningly manipulative, disgusting thing. And I'm sure from his vantage point, he stood a good chance of sucking me right back into that relationship, because they have these overinflated sense of, this overinflated sense of who they are and what they bring to the table, which more often than not isn't a whole lot, as we know, right? But 10 years later, right? He got nothing. Zero, nada, nothing. Never heard from him again. And never heard from him again. It's the fastest way. When we're over here busy taking care of us, learning how to love us, healing and recovering, doing our thing, completely ignoring them no matter what they're throwing at us, they disappear into the ether. It's a beautiful thing. My friends, I hope you got some value out of this today. I hope you enjoyed it. I sincerely hope it was helpful. Once again, I have some spots available in my calendar for a free consult with me for the Freedom Class program to see if we're a good fit to work together. So if that's of interest to you, be sure to click the link in the description below and apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consult with me. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button and share it with your friends, and comment below and tell me what your biggest takeaway was. I look forward to your feedback and giving you some responses as well. And with that, I'm going to call it a wrap. As always, I will leave you with this. Know your value. Know your value and unlock your freedom. Mwah. Much love. Bye for now.